Hello and welcome to City Trekker. My name's Adam and we've got a special interview today with Philip de Los Reyes from Remote Equipment. They are releasing the new Alpha 31 second production. And Phil, thank you so much for taking time with us today.
Really happy to be here. Yeah. Let's get into it. So this is a 600D polyester fabric that's laminated, very much like X-Pac fabrics, if folks out there know those. This is a balanced weave, so the yarns in both directions are the same thickness. 600D outside, which honestly we chose because it's amazing for things like abrasion resistance. It also has more of a brushed canvas-like appearance and feel that folks really like for their EDC packs. So it's honestly, it's at the level, if not honestly, superior in some abrasion tests to like a 500D Cordura. This is a triple laminated fabric, so in addition to the face layer, you have the adhesive films that hold it all together, a 45-degree cross ply that gives it bias stability, so it doesn't pull on the corners as much. And then it's backed with the 70D ripstop polyester, which gives it even more stability, waterproofness, and stitch holding. So it's got a lot going for it.
Yeah. And you know, when I was looking at the pictures on the website, it looked like it looked really rigid to me. And so like you see some of the angles here and it was like, man, I don't know if this is gonna break in very well. But you know, touching the bag, it has a lot more give than I expected it would in a good way. And it feels really nice to the hand and to the touch. Mm-hmm. Hey, how much, you know, when selecting a material, how much does, you know, the hand feel of a material matter to you?
You know, it's a big deal. I personally, I get really fixated on all the technical specs of a fabric. Right. And I'm like, I try and make a lot of decisions based on like performance first. But beyond that, you know, this is a very intimate part of people's lives. It might be their personal attaché every day or something. So that it's got to be something that people really enjoy and live with. And so we wanted a material that felt durable, rugged, but also wasn't you know, too crunchy. Some people love that and want that in a technical fabric, but something that was a little bit more canvas-like, for lack of a better term. And so we landed on this material and are really, really happy to be offering this.
Yeah. It's almost like, so if X-Pac had a heritage line, it would be something like this.
Yeah, honestly, we love like the appearance and durability of like a classic 500D Cordura, but we wanted the laminated technology that we're seeing with X-Pacs and what Challenge Sailcloth is doing. Mm-hmm. And so for that reason, we just wanted to sort of marry those two factors together. And we searched for a long time and talked to a lot of different vendors, and we feel this fabric is sort of the sweet spot for us. Hmm.
Well, can you walk us through just some of there were lots of small little tweak changes that got made to the bag for this second production. Can you talk about some of those changes?
Yeah, we can dive right in. So on the outside of the bag, every panel, we tried to keep this pretty consistent, but the base of the bag now has fewer seams that actually touch the ground. So we felt that was good for waterproofness. It's also, honestly, just we felt a little bit more of a streamlined appearance. The daisy chain now runs all the way across the bottom. So originally we just had a single loop for a bike lamp or tail lamp. Now we actually realize when we're hiking and our water shoes are hanging off our bag, we kind of like having them dangling underneath the bag. You could attach them to the top, but you know, maybe all that muddy water would be running down the side of your bag. So just more attachment points down low made a lot of sense. You'll notice the water bottle pockets are lower down on the bag as well. On the original, they're a little bit higher up, so if the bag is mostly empty and you have like one or two big water bottles, they might be kind of pulling the bag down a little bit more. So we located those a little bit lower down on the body. Moving around to the side, the compression straps used to originally be ladder locks. We switched these to ITW Jet Sour buckle. This way, it's just a little bit faster and easier to, if you want to actually like throw a tripod or an extra layer on the side of the bag, you can just unclip one of these and really easily attach that instead of sort of opening up those ladder locks and threading it through. If folks do have org kits out there, that was the other benefit, is that an org kit will work, is compatible with the daisy chain org kit and will attach just like they do on the exterior of the Charlie 25.
Let's show what that looks like.
Yeah, sure.
So I've got an org kit here with a few items inside. Let's mount this to the side.
All right, so...
And the material on this is a VX21, correct?
Yeah, so I don't know how well that'll show up on camera, but if folks want to get sort of a side-by-side comparison, you can see the VX21 is a little bit shinier. This is a 210 face fabric. This is a much more burly 600D face fabric that has basically a brushed yarn that's much less reflective. All right, so just to thread it back on, like just like the Charlie. So the compression straps, just like the Charlie, go through the top and bottom of the daisy chain. And just like Charlie, some folks want to run the compression straps on the outside of the org kit to get a little bit more compression, especially if things are like half full. But that's how it'll sort of balance out.
Awesome. So we got the expansion at the top and then the option of adding the org kits on the sides. So what is the, compressed down like this, how many liters are we talking? And then what is the max liter including org kits on the exterior? Yeah,
sure. So to sort of add to that talking point real quick, I have to say when I do use the bag half full or even less, I'm like compressing it down. I really actively believe in using the compression straps. That's why they're here. And then I use the front axis. I use it like a panel loader. When it's this sort of stage, it's about 25, 27 liters of room. And maybe I'm just bringing a laptop and an extra layer, a few odds and ends, and some like organization. When you want to really let this thing go, that's what's awesome about this. So if you're traveling, if you have extra layers, you get in like one of those weird positions where someone gives you something and then you have to fly home and you're like, oh, what do I do with this thing? You can now load this thing up. And just like the original, the specs have not changed. So you can unroll the top. As long as you're getting one full like turn out of it, it will really lock shut. And you can get, honestly, high 30s, maybe even 40 liters of volume in here. With these org kits, even more. So
the org kits are 2.5 liters. So you're talking about 5 additional liters if you add both of them on both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we really like that. This is like just a platform for expanding and working with your life. This isn't sort of a fixed commodity. This is something that's meant to be elastic and adapt to whatever you need it to do.
Yeah, the Swiss Army knife of backpacks.
That's where we thought that there just wasn't, we weren't seeing the kind of gear we wanted in that space where, one day I throw a big camera in here, the next day it's a laptop, the next day I'm going for a weekend hike, and I wanted a bag that could sort of adjust with me and not, unload and reload 3 different backpacks for the same responsibility.
Right. And then you've got a D-ring here that's helpful for like if you want to expand this strap even more. So that's an addition that I think is really helpful.
Yeah. So going back to other updates, we have that D-ring that you mentioned. We have a reinforced grab handle here. It's just a folded over webbing that's a little bit more rigid. The front pockets are almost identical to the original, but we've expanded the volume ever so slightly. So those angles have just sort of opened up a little bit more.
And it looks like it zips shut just a little bit higher than the other one did as well.
Yeah, we really wanted to maximize capacity. Yeah. So if you have an original and you're thinking about upgrading or getting both, it's not too different, but it's maybe 10% bigger. I don't want to it's not a different bag. It's the same, but a little bit different there. While we're talking about updates on the exterior, I think then we can move around to the back of the bag.
Yeah.
So this is actually there are some really important things we wanted to keep the same and some things we wanted to keep different. So Things that we really liked about the original were the shoulder straps, the angle, the shape, the size. Everybody loved those things. So it was really important to us to keep that. So the profile of the shoulder strap is exactly the same. What we did was, because we're now manufacturing these in a different factory, we're able to now do laminated foam. So these actually have 2 layers of foam and a higher density layer on the exterior, and then a softer EVA that goes against your body. We honestly feel that these more structured shoulder straps give you just better support and disperse the load a little bit more nicely. We also are using the same sort of stepped approach to the back panel that we use on the Charlie 25. So anyone that may have seen any of that information can see that in sort of the lumbar area of your back and up by your shoulder blades, you have a slightly higher piece of foam. And then in the middle, it's a little bit lower. And, it really allows these points to sort of stand off on your back and a little bit more air pass through.
It looks like there's more of a difference here than there was in the Charlie. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, sorry, the stepping is the same.
Okay.
The Charlie is, and this is important to note, I think, is the Charlie uses a spacer mesh. We really wanted to optimize that pack for sort of the outdoor fanatics that want that are going to get as sweaty as possible. The Alpha was always about durability on every plane, and so we want to keep that the same. So this is a woven, stretch woven, just like the original Alpha. The trade-off there that honestly everybody has to make is whether you want to do a little bit more spacer mesh with less durability and more breathability, or you want the durability here. But honestly, this is not going to breathe quite the same way as a spacer mesh. Okay. And that's one reason we do this sort of stepped architecture. That was a trade-off. We felt people wanted durability above all, and so that's what we did.
Well, in the original, so you can see the difference here.
Yeah, so it's a very similar stretch woven. This is made by a company called Twill, and they do an amazing job. And we use this because exactly, it's incredibly durable. If you rub this on a sidewalk, it's going to hold up a lot better than any sort of knit spacer mesh. This is a Darlington stretch Twill. And it's very similar in construction, and we felt this was a really good sort of evolution for the back panel.
And the shoulder straps, these have a lot more flexibility and give to them. And then this is a lot more reinforced, more rigid kind of feel to it. Mm-hmm. But with that, double layer of padding, it seems to be pretty comfortable in a similar way that the Charlie 25 is.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. And honestly, I can't show it on camera, but you can sort of squeeze both layers and can feel the harder, more rigid one on the outside of this and the cushier layer that goes against your body. Yeah. And so over time, we've grown to really appreciate this approach and feel it makes for a better harness system. Lastly, when we're talking about the harness system here, I just wanted to cover, we've gone with a new attached sternum strap. So this is closer to what you see on a lot of military issue bags. And this is sort of an integrated one using a Duraflex slider here. And we wanted something, we realized customers, 99% of our customers were leaving their sternum strap on all the time, and that they just wanted it to work seamlessly with the bag. Mm-hmm. So instead of trying to do something for everyone and have one that they can remove, we wanted to closely integrate this one. So this is permanently attached to the shoulder strap and slides up and down and gives you the same range of adjustability as the original. And so we're just really excited. We think this is just, everything is just sort of a more considered, learned approach. And
you still have the emergency whistle on here like the original.
Yeah. When in doubt, we stuck to the recipe on the original bag.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the biggest changes out back here is the addition of a waist belt.
Yeah.
So this is something I can personally attest to. And if I throw an SLR or something in my bag, my lower back is killing me after a little while. And so this does a great job of just honestly taking 50% of the weight off your shoulder straps and getting that onto your pelvis. And this is removable. So some people honestly might be using this as their EDC and they're just hopping on the train every day and they don't need this flapping around. And for that exact reason, it is removable. But if you're traveling or you honestly just have it loaded up a lot, we think this is a great improvement. And we think it's...
Yeah, if you've got 40 plus liters in this thing, that's going to be a huge help with that.
Yeah, and so you still have the same, a similar frame sheet to the original. So there's a polyethylene sheet that's going to really, all that load is going to, if you make sure it's not on your shoulders, that load is going to go down onto this waist belt and really make a big difference.
And then the load lifters, can you talk about the load lifters?
Sure. So these are very similar to the original. One thing that is nice about the reinforced shoulder straps is when using the load lifters, you get less of a fold point where the load lifting strap enters the shoulder strap. And as we were talking about earlier, this is actually a slightly different piece of hardware. So this is a shorter, more compact ladder lock called a ITW makes a part called the Onyx, and the previous was a Jet series part. So the Jet was just a little bit larger, and that was the smallest part we were able to source at the time, but we're now able to get a slightly more compact part. Otherwise, we think these still anchor to the top point where the frame sheet meets the bag body and perform just like the original. So one other detail here that we almost forgot about was the original Alpha 31 had the Rolltop strap sort of tacked onto the side of the bag body and going into the water bottle pocket. That was a nice, really direct line where we wanted to pull from for the Rolltop, but we realized, when this is loose, or sometimes it can be in a way when I'm actually just using this as for the water bottle. So what we did here was we moved this to connect to the rear of the bag body, where it performs just as well and it's just less in the way. This is also a really nice approach if you do have org kits. It's not getting in the way for those either. So just slightly better organization and packaging of the design.
So let's get into the bag. Talk a little bit about the material on the interior of this.
So the interior of this bag uses the EPX 600 from Challenge Sailcloth. Like we talked about before, it has an amazing 600D polyester outside, but we also really like that it's backed with a 70D ripstop backing. This allows the fabric to actually just have much better stitch holding. It also is just great with abrasion resistance. So if the interior of your bag is actually getting a lot of wear, this is just going to hold much better. Lastly, the last bag we lined with a 400D white liner because we wanted to keep it bright and clean on the inside and ensure high visibility. But that liner added a ton of weight. So we wanted to figure out a way to keep the bag sort of trim and functional without sort of adding all this weight to the build. So we felt like this was a win-win where we could have a little bit more of a really nice technical fabric that achieved all our goals with one layer. On the inside, we also added in addition to the laptop sleeve, which can hold like a 15-inch or 16-inch MacBook Pro, we also have a tablet sleeve. This is great for tablets, small accessories, or if you have a laptop and you also want to use the hydration bladder, you can still get the hydration bladder in there as well. And there is a hydration...
and this is suspended at the bottom, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. So just like the original and the Charlie 25, the frame sheet goes all the way to the bottom, but the laptop sleeve stops about 1.5 inches above the ground. Yeah. So if you slam this down on the ground once you get to work in the morning, the frame is what's going to sort of take that abuse, and your laptop should remain, hanging just above the ground.
And the laptop sleeve and the tablet sleeve both end at the same point, so they're both suspended. Yeah.
So I guess we can't show you on this view, but they're both right above the ground, about 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
You can also see there are a lot of like really small details that I just take personal pride in, like every point where there's daisy chain that's going to have a stress point is reinforced. So this bag is going to last for years. We didn't really want anything that could be a vulnerability. On the inside, there's lastly we have the pocket that's great for honestly, you could keep a small tablet in here, or like if you have like bulky over-ear headphones, something like that. This is a great place to dump that sort of stuff. My sort of in-flight routine is to sort of have all this and the rear pocket, and that's like enough for like every small, whatever entertainment need I have during my flight.
So the EXP 600, I got to be honest, I like this material more than I expected I would. It feels really nice to the hand. The people that don't want the UVX 40, that are gonna, lament that it's not an X50 anymore. I think, once they feel this material and see, like it is more like an X50 than like a VX21 or something like that. And just the way it handles, the way it feels, the way it bends. And so if you really like the X50, I think you are gonna like this material. But you did make another bag in another material. And so let's check that out, the EVX40. UVX40.
UVX40, yeah. There it is.
So UVX40 is a great name for an 80s rock band. UVX40.
Yeah, so over the years, with the original, there was always a subset of folks out there that are like, Phil, the bag's killer, but we really want like a lightweight version or like a highly technical version. Like they liked the X50, X51, but they wanted something that just more spoke to them for those sort of like technical, outdoor, lightweight scenarios.
Yeah.
This
outdoorsman, traveler, nerd.
Yeah,
all together.
For sure.
You get this.
One thing I don't want to mislead you is a lot of people, when they hear lightweight, they think, oh, that's going to be a delicate fabric that's going to shred. Right. This stuff is not going to shred. It's not the do everything material here, but this is a bag you could live with for years, and it's not going to be delicate like other sort of exotic fabrics out there.
Yeah. So we've got the UVX40 on the top, and then on the bottom, you've got the VX42. How do these two materials compare to each other?
So the VX42 is the same material we're actually using on the base of the Charlie 25. We selected that because it has just amazing abrasion resistance. It sort of it still has the waterproof layers of all the X-Pack fabrics. So for a bag body base where we just want to make sure it's scraping the ground and keeping your goods dry, that was the material of choice. It's got a really tight weave. Everything about it is amazing. The UVX40 is prioritizing like still like all the specs are really strong, but it's not going to be the abrasion champ. It's going to prioritize lighter weight and tensile strength and tear strength. And so this is something that is great if it's not being dragged around on the ground. But it's what this material is actually. Far away, it looks almost like it's silver, but if you and I look at this closely, you can actually see it's black and white fibers woven together. The white fibers are a polyethylene, just like the Dyneema and Spectra branded fibers out there. And this is, they call Dimension Poly, it calls it just Ultra PE. And then the black fibers are a polyester fiber, interwoven. And then you can see there's extra thick ripstop fibers that are also Ultra PE. Together, this makes like an amazing face fabric that's woven in Germany, I guess, before it's moved to Connecticut to be laminated, and allows you to have just amazing tech, but also with the sort of the durability and livability that you don't see with all of the super sort of exotic fabrics. So we love everything about it, and we just wanted something that if we're going to sort of put a warranty on this and send several hundred of these out into the world, we want to make sure that this wasn't getting caught on a tree branch and shredding or anything like that.
You cannot put DWR coating on this. So can you talk a little bit about water resistance for this material as well as the EXP 600?
Yeah, so the EXP 600 does have a DWR coating, and so real quick, what DWR coatings are is that's like it's like a Scotch Guard. It's like a clear, invisible layer that is usually sprayed on the fabric at the end of production, and that allows water to bead up on the surface. Now, let's say you're in a crazy storm and it's just saturating. It's not beading up anymore. These both will still be waterproof, not because of DWR, but because of the adhesive layer inside the fabric. So that's the most important thing to know. But for light rain, when you want just rolling off of your bag and not just soaking in and getting the bag all heavy, this has a C0 DWR, and this has a naturally hydrophobic construction. So Dimension Poly informed me that the Ultra PE with the polyester does a great job on its own of allowing water to sort of bead up on the surface, and is a very, very difficult material to saturate. Nylons out there saturate more easily, and if you have a nylon bag, DWR might be a more helpful or critical part of the construction.
So are these considered waterproof or water resistant?
So these are water resistant. They're not waterproof bags in the sense that, these aren't seam taped like a submersible bag by any means. But at the same time, these fabrics are water resistant. Both of these, I think, up to 200 PSI. So your bike tire is like 110 or something. Yeah. So that's a ton of pressure that you'd have to like inject water into the fabric to get it to bead up through onto the other side. Yeah. So you could make a hammock out of this and just hold water in it as long as it wasn't sort of dripping from the seams. So from that perspective, we feel like, my personal experience, any sort of horrible rainstorm you're in or the like, these fabrics both hold up extremely well. And I allocate or dedicate all of that to the laminated construction. Yeah. That just water cannot seep through it.
Okay. Hey, have you ever thought about doing like a rain cover for these?
I'm not a huge fan of rain covers. I feel like by the time it's raining and you go to get that thing out, you're kind of already in a bad mood and wet.
Yeah, I think the main way I would use it is if I'm riding a motorcycle in Nepal and it's dusty and I'm riding for 8 hours in a day, my bags get really dusty and dirty when I do that. And so sticking a rain cover on top of it just kind of keeps the bag from getting too dirty.
That's a great point. I have not thought about Nepalese motorcycle trips.
Okay, well now you know.
So most waterproofness is gauged as a IP like 77, IPX6. That's a classification for dust and water resistance. The two are closely linked. All these fabrics have been tested for water resistance, and that typically means dust resistance is pretty solid, but these have not been tested for dust resistance. So I can't exclusively give you an answer there. I would think that the fabric, the laminated technology, plus all the waterproof zippers would do a pretty good job. But honestly, if you're in a dust storm and it's like so fine it's in your teeth, maybe some of that's going to get in your bag. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just have to test it out. I'll let you know.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that video.
Yeah. All right. So talk about the interior material on this one.
Sure. Yeah. So the UVX40, just like all of the VX series X-Pack fabrics from Dimension Polyant, are backed with a 50D taffeta. I believe it's a nylon, not a polyester. This is a great way, like we talked about, the stitch holding capabilities and sort of stabilizing the 20-degree cross ply and the face fabric. And it's sort of the barrier to allow the film to be held in there and be all, safe and encapsulated in the lamination. Lastly, because the fabric is white and this face fabric, the backing fabric is white, we think visibility is excellent in the bag. And so just like the black colorway, there's no need for a liner, and that this can be a really lightweight, amazing piece of gear.
Yeah. So what's the total weight on each of these bags?
So I have to check on the hang tag, because put me on the spot, Adam. The black colorway is approximately 3.3 pounds. This is about 2.7 pounds. Off the top of my head, I believe the ounces per yard is about 6.7 for the UVX40, and it's closer to 9 ounces for the EPX 600.
So 2.7 pounds on a bag that goes about to 40 liters, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you could take the waist belt off, things like that. But yeah, this...
So that includes the waist belt?
Yeah, yep. Okay. All in right now, you're seeing that weight.
Yeah.
You talked a lot about the hand feel of this bun. Do you want to talk about anything about your, because that's something that doesn't really come across on camera.
Right,
in my
right.
photos is it crinkly or soft, or what do you think about your impression of it?
So this material, it is more crinkly than the EXP 600. Because it's so light, I expected it to be thinner than it is. So it's got a good amount of thickness to it. And that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like it's going to be nice and durable. It's not too loud. It's not like Dyneema crunchy. It's not even like VX21 crunchy. I would say it's just a little bit quieter than VX21.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Cool. And I really like how light this bag is. And so for me, of the two bags, I'm going to go with the lighter one because of all my travel and camera gear and all that kind of stuff. I want the lightest, most durable bag I can get. And so this kind of fits that criteria. And I love the VX42. Big fan of that material.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure either of these could be lived with, day in and day out.
Yeah. All right, so shipping in May, you're on track to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And what kind of celebration party are you going to do once you get these mailed out?
Oh man, put my feet up and have a beer. I just can't wait to start to hear what everyone has to say. It's nothing's more rewarding than like getting photos of people with their bag. Please, tag us, whatever. Like, tell us what you're putting in your bag. Like, just we put so much energy, and I know how I like to use them, and the people we know. But like, it's such a breath of fresh air to see what other people bring to it, and I just can't wait I'm just getting coffee one day and I see one of these on the street. That's what I can't wait for. Yeah.
Well, the original Alpha 31, it became a unicorn for so many people, and I just had to try it. It's really difficult to get one of the original ones, and resale on them tends to be around $800. So I eventually did get an Alpha 31, the original in X50, and it was so hyped in my mind. I was like, I really hope I like this bag. And once I got it, I was just blown away. And I really love the Alpha 31. I've had it for almost a year now. And my two favorite bags right now are the Track Barn Cobra Barn and the Alpha 31. And so I'm really excited to get an even lighter Alpha 31 with some additional updates. And these bags they're awesome, man. Good job.
Thank you. I'm really happy to share them with you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please click the like button down below and subscribe to the channel to check out all our future reviews. Thanks so much and take care.